There is a huge misconception that still goes around the music business, and I fell for it too, but I want to help you avoid this because a lot of artists think, okay, if I want to sell my merchandise, I just go into Canva, create a little free, easy design, throw it up on my print-by-demand store, and then people are just going to start buying in waves. And then what happens? Reality kicks us right in the face, and there's no sales that come in, and then you start promoting it on your Instagram story or your Instagram posts. Nothing happens, and no sales. Everything runs dry. Well, the odds are it's not your design. Your design is probably fine. The real problem, and this is the truth of the matter, is you don't have a system for converting casual listeners into direct buyers, okay? Because selling isn't luck. Selling just is understanding the principles and understanding why people buy, right? Everyone buys for certain reasons, and today I'm going to outline what those reasons are and how you can start to look at your merchandise in a way that actually leads to sales as opposed to having an empty analytics where there's no sales, okay? So let's dive into this. The first thing we need to understand is why we struggle to sell is because we think cool designs plus exposure, like, okay, I've got something cool. People can see it now. They'll buy it, right? Some people might. Maybe you've got some die-hard fans and they just buy anything that you put out, right? Sure, those people might buy it. But if your audience is small, that means your percentage of die-hard fans is even smaller, which means the odds are not in your favor. The numbers are stacking up against you there. So it's not just about having a cool design and having enough people see it. If you want to play that game, it's going to be a very long and expensive road. But instead, we need to understand something very crucial. People don't always buy from aesthetic reasons. In fact, most people buy for emotional reasons. Most people buy because, for example, if you go to a concert and you see a band that just absolutely blows your mind, or an artist that just puts on a show that just whoa, this is crazy, and you go and you buy that piece of merch, even if it's just like a black t-shirt with a white logo or a white t-shirt and a black logo, it doesn't matter that the design isn't the most intricate thing people have ever seen in the world. What matters is the emotional connection and association that they have with that merchandise because of the show that you put on, right? Or the connection that you have built with them. That's why live shows are so powerful, by the way, compared to online marketing, is the potency of the experience can create instant diehard fans if done properly. But online, you can still mimic some of these things where you build connection in other ways, right? But we have to figure out how to build the connection because people don't just buy because they're like, oh, this is objectively a very cool t-shirt. Let me just go buy those things. Most people need an emotional reason and then they justify it with logic to buy, right? I really want to go to this concert, but, and then the logic starts kicking in. But then if they find this a reason, but this is going to be the greatest experience, they're never going to, all of a sudden now the logic starts trying to rationale. Maybe they'll never come by here. They don't come by here but every few years. And what if they stop touring? I probably should get in now. And then we sell ourselves based on logic? No, based on the emotion that we really want to go see these people, right? I know I've been in the same exact situation whenever I wanted to go see one of my favorite artists perform live. I'm like, oh, I remember being in like high school, like they'll never come here ever again. You have to buy these tickets, right? Is that because that's the logical response or is that the emotional response? It's the emotional response, right? So people buy from emotion. Right? That's the main thing I want to kind of impart to you in this first part of this. So if we understand that people buy from emotion, we have to understand now the real problem is not that you don't have cool merchandise, and it's not that you're not pushing it probably enough. Because you're probably pushing it, you're giving it some good exposure. The problem is the fan needs to be more invested, right? So how do we create this situation where a fan can become more invested in what we're doing? Create more micro commitments. Okay, micro commitments are a very, very powerful way to build up this slowly but surely big momentum that they're going to eventually say yes and buy to you. Because a micro commitment is saying, it's like, think about just a typical experience when you go to any website. There's probably going to be a page where they want you to put in your email address, right? You put in your email address and your name, you hit enter, and then it takes you to a page where they try to sell you something, right? Those are very, micro commitments along the way. Okay, I'm going to click this button. Okay, that's a micro commitment. Okay, I'm going to put in my name and my email. That's a micro commitment. If you put in phone to enter that additional piece of information is another micro commitment, right? You want to get these little tiny pieces of agreement along the way. So in your content, you can start from that position there and work it all the way to the point where they're actually offering something to buy. So you look at it, okay, content-wise, what do I do to create those micro commitments? First thing I could do is, hey, like this video if you've ever felt this, right? And then you go into a part of your song that exemplifies that emotion. Not to go on a tangent about content, but that's a really important thing, is tying that first 3 seconds, that hook, into an emotion that ties into your song. Think of it like this. The hook is building a frame that you're putting in front of your song so that people perceive it a certain way, right? If I have a song that's really depressing, but right before I play it, I play like club and party music, by the time I play my actual song, people are going to go like, what? My mood and my emotions are not set for this, right? But if I set the frame right, people are in the emotional state that I want them to be in to consume my content in a way that actually makes them understand the song better, right? So that when they're consuming it, they're like, yeah, that hook made me feel this, and now the music is reinforcing what I'm feeling. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for like, haha, that was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to build a connection with our fan base, because that's the only way we're ever going to build an actual music business that's sustainable. So we have to build micro commitments, because building relationships before asking is the key. Most artists ask too early. In fact, I don't ever really like to ask on social media. I don't know. To me, it's better to get people into the channels that you want them to before making those kind of offers. So I would rather people have to join the email list to get the offers, to incentivize people to join the email list because they want to know what the offers are. They don't see them. They're not on social media all the time. And even if they do, they're the like last second scarcity boosts just to get some people in that haven't got in. And they're like, oh, I missed it. Oh, dang it. Right? So maybe they want to get into the email list now so they don't miss it. You can kind of build up these sort of things. But selling on social media before you've built that relationship is not a winning strategy. Social media content needs to be relation-based, if you know what I mean. Connecting you and the fan. How do I create the content that gets them to understand where I'm coming from, but also shows them I understand where they're coming from? That's a really big part of these hooks. Like I said, I'm trying not to go on a tangent about content, but it's really important to establishing that connection. So anyways, let's move on in content, but micro commitments, right? So, hey, like this video if you've ever felt insert emotion that frames out your music. You could also say, like this if you dig this song. So now they have to listen to it before they give it a like, So there's different little micro commitments. Hey, comment the word rain if you've ever been stuck out in the rain, and then you got a song about being stuck out in the rain. You know what I'm saying? Like, set the frame, set a commitment. Hey, comment this, and they're like, oh yes, I've totally felt like that. Even if they don't comment the keyword, they still commented. Little micro commitment. Asking people to follow at the end of videos, or even asking them, hey, if you like this song, you got to follow, right? Is he I don't even know if he's a magician? I don't know what he is. He's like a person on TikTok that will make videos. You probably have seen him where he's like, okay, here, think of any color, okay? And he's on like a mirror in the bathroom, and he's got a marker, and he's like, I want you to think of any number between this and this. You got it? For those of you that know who I'm talking about, that's actually a pretty close impression. But I forget why I was doing that. Oh, at the very end of it, he was like, if I got that right, you got to follow, right? So he tries to guess the number you're thinking of. Now he tries to engineer the number that you're thinking of so he can just say that and get it right. But the point of it is you're asking people to follow so there's like a conditional follow. Maybe that's what we should call it, conditional following, where, hey, listen, if you dig this track, you got to follow. Boom, into the track. Right? And it's just you talking head really quickly. That's the thing about the content, is the first 3 seconds. You got to move quick. You should be able to get through the hook in 3 seconds, and within those 3 seconds, the song is playing. if not after the third second going into the fourth second. I know that's very granular in detail, but it's important to understand that, where you're kind of hitting powerful emotional hook line and then right into the song. That's a perfect setup, you know? So thinking about it like that, micro commitments, hey, like this if you've ever felt this emotion, comment if you agree this, follow if you dig this song, right? Micro commitments. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then they check out one of your stories, or not one of your stories, or maybe one of your stories. It could be that. I was thinking of your highlights, though. On Instagram, you can save your stories into highlights. Definitely recommend doing that, especially if you have shows like live performances. You can take the flyers that have the ticket link on it, save it to your highlight so that it permanently lives there until the show. Great way to help just have a way for people to buy tickets to your shows at all times. There's other ways that you can use highlights, but I'm focusing more on getting people into the email list. So maybe there's one of those highlights where people click on it. Now they can join the email list. Now we can start that process of building that rapport. And it's a natural, like, okay, this is free. I'll do that. Oh, yeah, I'll follow. Yeah, oh, I'll go to the link here. Oh, okay. Put in my email address. Okay, micro commitment. Just stacking them up so that eventually they've opened up your emails. They've read your stories about your origin story and where you came from and all this stuff. And eventually when you say, if you want to know how to support me, here's a great offer that I'm only doing for a limited time because X, Y, and Z reasons, and you need to be able to do this. That's when we actually make a sale, because we've set it up properly. The emotional connection is hopefully there. And you may say, Dax, are people really going to want to buy my shirt based on my design? I have really simple designs. Remember the concert example. It's not about the simplicity or the extravagance of the design. It's about the connection you build with the fan prior to the moment of asking them. That's the key, okay? Now, number 3, let's kind of dive into this sort of third point here. You want to sell without begging, right? Or being annoying. So here's what I like to think about it as. If you're selling the merch that's tied into their identity, you don't have to sell as hard. I use these typical examples because they're very clear cut. Think about it like, if I'm a gamer, what are the things that I use all the time in my gaming? Well, I probably have a set of headphones. I probably have a gaming chair. Maybe if I'm a computer gamer, maybe I have a mouse pad, or I've got a specific thing that goes over my keyboards or designs my keyboards in a certain fashion. There's different accessories that all these people have. And if you can figure out ways to create branded, your artist, your band's brand to these things that people are already using, such as like headphones, maybe you have like a pillow, right? This is a very, very simple idea. I know people are like, pillows? Pillows. If you're a gamer, what's one thing you probably struggle with? Maybe you got that gamer neck thing where you're doing this all day because you're doing this, you know what I'm saying? Or you're in front of the computer doing this. Neck starts to hurt after a while, right? So you need a good chair that you can lean back in, and you could frame it as, hey, want a place to rest your head while you're gaming? Put this pillow that we've created for you right there, and now you can lean back and have a comfy pillow, and it's going to be better on your neck. Your neck's going to feel better. Notice how I'm not saying like, buy our pillow because it's got our new album artwork on it and it looks really, really cool and we spent a lot of time on the design. No, I'm not doing any of that. I'm like, won't your neck feel so much better when you get one of our pillows, right? And you may think to yourself like, oh, this sounds kind of salesy to me. Well, here's what I'll also say. People mistake and misunderstand the idea of selling. If your idea of selling is you have to be reserved and on your heels, and the only way that you can ever ethically make a sale is if you're like this, yeah, you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. I don't know if you want to buy it. Some people don't want to buy it, and so you don't have to buy it if you don't want to, but I don't want to feel bad about asking you to buy it. You could buy it, but I'm not saying you have to buy it, but you could buy it, That's not what I think selling should be. And I guarantee you're probably not going to sell anybody if that's how you sell. So we have to kind of change the frame around what we're considering like pushy, aggressive. I'm not going to do that because I'm an artist. It's like people say that about content. I'm not going to create content because I'm an artist, and that makes me somehow super artist for not doing what everyone else does. This is not the right mindset to be in if you're trying to actually create a music business. If you want to be a hobbyist, and not make any money from your music, cool. Like, no hard feelings. This isn't for you. But if you're someone who's trying to create a business around your music and you're actually going to offer something casually, that's a way that you can do it. Because it's like, hey, we've got something really cool. You know, you're sending this over a course of emails, but eventually it finally comes up. We're going to sell something. You know, we got these cool things that we created because we know a lot of you guys out there are gamers, right? And we love to game. Right now, this band member's game is this, you know, this is his favorite game. I'm not really gaming, so I couldn't list out anything for you. So sorry about that, all the gamers out there. I still love you guys. I'm an OG back in the day Call of Duty gamer kind of guy. I'm not like a current Fortnite gamer. I don't know any of that. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant on that stuff. So have pity on me. But, you know, it's like, hey, you know, we know a lot of you guys are gamers and this is our favorite game and this blah, 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 blah. And we noticed that sometimes our neck really hurts. And so we made a pillow that has actually been really helping us out while we're gaming. And we thought, why don't we offer this up to our fans? So that way their necks don't have to hurt anymore. So we've got this link in the description. There's only 50 of them made because we couldn't print out like 1,000 of them. So we just made 50 of them for the people that this would really be cool for and that would actually help them out. So if you want yours, go ahead, click the link here. So I'm doing just a little sales kind of, this could be an email, right? Or this could be a video right off the cuff, but that's the essential idea. You're not sitting there going, this is the greatest pillow I've ever seen in my entire life. And once you wear this piano, once you wear this pillow, this is the greatest pillow you've ever seen. Like, we're not doing that. We're just like, hey man, like this thing, like helped kind of solve a problem. And like, do you want that? Do you have that problem? Oh, me too. Sounds like a conversation, doesn't it? I've got this problem too. I found this thing that was really helpful on my neck. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I just thought I'd share about it. Do you want one? Oh, you want one? Okay, cool. Because yeah, we only got like 50 of them, so it's good that you got it now. It's very conversational as opposed to Billy Mays here, and we've got the greatest pillow you've ever seen. We're not doing that. We're coming at it a little bit more conversational in the email medium of consumption, right? So we have to utilize, though, this is to me a crucial part of this process is you have to have some kind of reason for them to act now. Notice in the almost said piano again. Notice in the pillow example. See, it's such a weird item. I don't even want to naturally say it. Notice in that example, I said, yeah, we've only made like 50 of them because we couldn't print like 1 billion of them, right? It's a pillow. So that's natural scarcity that exists. I have found that a lot of artists have scarcity. They're just afraid to use it for coming off a certain way. You will only come off a certain way if you come off that certain way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists are like fearful of how they might potentially sound if they act in a way that they don't act naturally. You don't have to act that way. You don't have to do that. I can assure you that you don't have to be hardcore, just buy this right now. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. You can be subtle about it, but also let people know the truth. Let's say you've only printed 20 shirts of this brand new design and you're selling some of them at the merch table. It is very practical and useful for you if you say things like, yeah, we only printed 20 of them, so once they're gone, they're gone. We don't know if we're going to reorder any or not. So if you want some, go ahead and pick yours up now. You know, like I said, the phrase once it's gone, is a very factual, not pushy way to let people know there is limited supply of this. And once it is gone, it's gone, right? Now, if you say it 400 times in the email, it might start to get old. But if you're really getting to the point where right now I'm going to drop this scarcity line in my email and you say, you know, because once it's gone, it's gone. We only printed a limited number of these things. Or, you know, we only printed 25 of these. When you have a number, it's a lot better. You know, we only printed 25 of these. So once they're gone, they're gone. That's very powerful without being pushy. You're not like, there's only 25 of these, so you have to click the button right now or else you're going to miss out on all the... You don't have to do that. You can just say, hey, once they're gone, you know, because we only got 25 of them. That's very casual. It's very nonchalant, but you are selling, okay? So the reason I'm getting in the nitty-gritty of the sales mindset here is because I need you guys to understand that just because you're utilizing sales tactics doesn't mean that you're being pushy, right? And also, I don't really see anything wrong with being pushy as long as you're not being aggressive. right? If like when people are aggressively pushy, that's one thing, but I like to think of it more like you're nudging. You're kind of nudging somebody a little bit. And sometimes nudging is a little bit more powerful than trying to push someone, because when you push someone, they push back. When you nudge someone, they usually they're nudging over, right? So you have to be willing to utilize some sales tactics. And there's an idea that, oh, people are going to just know that I sold them something and they're going to hate me forever. That is largely a fear of our own minds and imagination. Most fans that really want to support you, because I have a good number of them, they ask us point blank, what are the ways that we can support you that's outside of Spotify? What a question. And then they say things like, is there anything better than just buying merch? What happens when I've bought all the merch? How do I support you then? Most artists don't have an answer to that question. Most of the time, they're baffled by the fact that there's someone saying, how do I give you more of my money? And you're like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to people rejecting me. But like, that's the truth. There's a lot of artists in that position where they don't even know, like, I don't think anybody would even pay money for my stuff. I've heard that before, and that actually kind of makes me sad on a level, because you're putting the value of whether someone's going to buy something from you in your own perception, right? You're saying, oh man, I've got this view of myself that if I try to sell anything, people won't even buy it. And it's like, if you put out that energy, you'll get it back. If you put out the energy that no one buys anything from you and our stuff doesn't have any value and there's no reason to buy our stuff, then that's how they're going to feel too. But if you're saying, yeah, there's a reason for them to buy. I need to have a sustainable music career, and I want to create these connections with my fans. And yeah, sometimes fans putting their money down is how they do it. I'd like you to think about this and just possibly consider this. We can't complain at Spotify for not raising the rates, right? And it's like, oh, they're always finding out ways to make less or make us make less, right? Well, that's because Spotify's not profitable. Let's just get that out of the way. Spotify's not profitable, hardly at all. So what they have to do is figure out how they're going to cut corners and stuff. And so the only way that Spotify will be able to pay us more is if the consumer, the fans, start to pay Spotify more so that they have more to distribute to us and they don't go bankrupt, right? So realistically, when we say Spotify needs to raise how much money it gives us, we are effectively, through a roundabout, indirect way, saying fans should be paying more for music. Do you agree? Yeah, fans should be paying more for music, right? Well, how can we hold the belief fans need to pay more for music, but when it comes to the opportunity to actually extend our hand and say, would you like to pay more for my music, we're timid and shy and meek about it? That's counterintuitive. There should be some cognitive dissonance there, because do we want people to pay more for music or not? Well, we want them to pay more for Spotify and our physical or digital music. It's like, well, due to the laws of supply and demand, there is a fat chance of that happening. There are hundreds of millions of artists who have under 1,000 plays total throughout a year. That's insane. How much inventory is sitting on the shelf, quote unquote, of Spotify and is getting no listens hardly, right? Now, there's things to do, very easy things to do, in my opinion, to get to that threshold above 1,000 monthly listeners at least. Getting to that point, it's somewhat expensive because you have to do ads and stuff like that, but it's doable if you know the right strategies. But this idea that I want the music to be the thing. I don't want to have to sell other things. I want to just have the music do it. Well, you can't have our cake and eat it too. Or really the phrase is, you can't eat your cake and have it too. We're not going to expect to make less from Spotify over the course of years. Just until they go completely bankrupt and crash into the ground. Expect to get paid less from Spotify. So that means we have to make the money up somewhere else. But then when we find out, oh, I can sell t-shirts, I can sell wristbands, I can sell a pillow, I can sell whatever I want that fits the niche of people that I'm trying to serve, all of a sudden now we get timid about it. All of a sudden now we're like, well, I didn't sign up to be careful with that phrase of I didn't sign up for, because it implies that you don't know what you signed up for. It's called the music business. Which of the two words is bigger? I would just say that I'm not saying that business is more important than music, by the way. It's just a fun little saying. But really you have to understand that people need a reason to buy now. And by you utilizing sales tactics to get them to move forward, there's nothing wrong with that. Have them have those memories. If you have a good experience that you can provide them online or in person to build that connection, when they buy it, they get it, and they have this association and this memory with you that is positive, not negative. A lot of the negative things that we think others might potentially think about us is a figment of our imagination. Seneca, the Greek philosopher, once said, we are in our heads mortal to all of our fears and immortal to all of our desires. And we have this sort of like all the things that, the people that might, our fears, we just feel like they're going to kill us at any moment, right? That's what our fears feel like. Oh, how people are going to perceive me? How am I going to come across and all this stuff? How about we just start executing the principles that make businesses of every type successful? Because that's one of the questions I think a lot of musicians fail to ask, because it's important to ask, how do I get better and more, exposure and grow and make more money in the music business? That's a good question to ask for sure. I have a whole channel, obviously, that you're watching that's dedicated to that. But a question we don't often ask ourselves are, what are the principles that work for every business? Because it's hard to know what strategies you hear from gurus about what works in the music business. But it's safe to say that if something works across all businesses, it's safe to assume it works in the music business. How come we never ask that question? To me, that's where the gold is. That's where the true wisdom is that leads to success. And one of those things, one of those truisms that works in every single industry, doesn't matter what it is giving people a reason to act now. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this video is kind of the big picture here. You want to give people many ways to do this. You want to give people multiple access points. So you want to have a lot of offers, and I'm using merch as an example here. It doesn't have to be merch. It could be a fan club. It could be, maybe you offer, I know some artists that offer like one-on-one life coaching sessions. I don't care what it is that you got. There's a way that this works fundamentally across all different boundaries, okay? Now, what is this type of study of the fundamentals about how people actually respond? There's a philosophy is you don't want to pay attention to what people say, you want to pay attention to how they respond, okay? Now, there is a study in business of what people respond to. It's called direct response marketing, okay? It is the study of figuring out how to get potential prospects. A prospect just means someone who's going to listen to your music and buy your merchandise in your fan club. But potential one of those people, what do I need to say to get them to directly respond to my ads and to directly respond to my promotions? That's what direct response is all about. And so there's a whole study about it. In fact, like one of the direct response kind of OGs in that space is a guy named Dan Kennedy. And he has like a 10 commandments of direct response marketing. And it's a study, it's a systemized look at your business so that you can track, how do they respond to this? How do they respond to this? How do they respond to this? And you want to be able to track things across all your different domains. You want to be able to track your ads and know how to read that data appropriately. You need to track your email metrics. You need to track your conversion metrics. You need to keep track of your funnel pages. What's the earnings per click? Where are people falling off? Are they falling off on the first upsell page, or do they need a downsell, or what's the thing that you need to do? By the way, you may ask yourself, do upsells and downsells and stuff work for music fans? Yes, they do. I've tested this stuff with my own band. That's why I don't share anything with you here that I haven't tested or researched. That's the whole point of direct response and why I believe in it as a philosophy of business. Is it's all about looking at how people respond, not about what people say. I've had fans where we're asking them hey, what would you pay for the fan club? What price sounds best for you? And they say things like, well, it's your fan club. You charge what you want. No, 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 no. That's not an answer, right? Oh, whatever you decide, we're cool with. No, you're not. Because if I say it's $20, $50, and $100 a month, all of a sudden people are like, well, I don't know if I want to buy it now. You know what I'm saying? So what people say and how people respond are totally different things. So what we do is we're like, fine, we did get some responses in that. So like, let's test it and see how they respond. If they don't respond, we're going to change it. And so we've made adjustments based on what we felt like, is the response rate what we really need it to be right now? Let's adjust it and see if that has an increase. And so maybe we need to keep it here. And there's all these kind of things that we can do to figure it out and test and track and follow where people are responding. Like, for example, whenever you're running ads, if you're running ads, hopefully you're being smart about it. Please don't just go throw money at meta ads if you don't know exactly what you're doing, because you could spend a lot of money for nothing back. And that's painful. I've seen artists do that. I've had that experience. I've been paying for Facebook promotions for a long time, y'all. I remember back in the day when to boost on Facebook actually meant that the bot farms in Indonesia would go flood your page. And so the first 2,000 followers, I had to go person by person and block them one by one until we had the list completely cleaned again. So frustrating. But so I've been paying for meta ads for a long time in all its different forms back when it wasn't really legit. Good job, Zuck. You got it better now. We like to Pepperidge Farm remembers, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. But when you're paying for meta ads, hopefully you're running multiple different creatives, meaning just different individual ads that look different. They have different hooks on them. Maybe they have different visuals on them, but the same hook. There's some kind of thing you're testing there. Because what you want to figure out is, are people responding to this ad or are they responding to this ad? With your emails, you want to look at your sequence and you want to say okay, we had a good 30% open rate here, 30% here, 15% here. Subject line needs a little work because clearly there's been a dip here. We're understanding how people are responding and we make adjustments accordingly, right? But the study and tracking of what actually works and what people respond to is direct response marketing. And some people are like, well, some of these tactics are high pressure, like scarcity, saying there's only 25 of them, buy it now. Here's the thing, as long as you're not creating false or artificial scarcity, we're all good, right? So when you print something, there is legitimate scarcity. Now, what if it's well, Dax, it's print by demand. How can I ethically do it if it's print by demand? It's technically not going away. Well, here's what you can do that does make ethical sense, is instead of the uniqueness being the physical item itself, the uniqueness could be what comes with it, right? So I may have a shirt for sale on my print by demand site that you could get at any time for $30. But let's say I offer something where they can get that same shirt plus a poster for $25. Now they're like, whoa. Now what's making that a deal is not the uniqueness of the items, but the bundling of them in total. Okay? So when you look at an offer, you can't look at things like a product. A product is, here's my individual item. An offer is your core product plus value added, right? And value added could be just an insanely good guarantee. Hey guys, I'm doing a promotion right now where I've got this shirt on for sale, but guess what? If you don't like it in 90 days, within 90 days, let me know. I'll totally refund it and you can keep the shirt. That is a special offer. You're adding value by giving them a super long guarantee, which is showing your confidence in the product. That this is so amazing. We're doing a special where you guys get a 90-day guarantee where if you don't like this shirt or, the fabric, you think the design's, blocky or whatever, just let us know and we'll give you your money back. No questions asked. And you can keep the t-shirt. We don't even care. Don't even send it back in. People are now like, oh, that's a better offer now. What's unique about the offer? Well, the item didn't change there. Here, the value add was just a guarantee. Now, I like to add things in it too to give it more appeal. So if it's a t-shirt and maybe some exclusive performances that they've never seen before, and the 90-day guarantee. Right now we're really adding value and we're creating a unique offer, even though the only physical thing in there, it's not unique. It's available on the merch, at the merch store or in the merch table, right? So you have to look at it kind of from that perspective. Offer creation is a little bit more looking at the sum total of everything, as opposed to, well, I'm selling this t-shirt somewhere else. It's like, okay, how can we throw some stuff in there so that it's not the same thing people get when they go to the merch store? And now we've created a unique offer that can have a time limit on it. Now you've created scarcity legitimately, because you've put time limits on something like, okay, we're going to have the guarantee and the bonus videos only available for the next 7 days. So if you buy within the next 7 days, you'll get it. After that, we're turning the offer off. Guess what? As long as you turn it off, legitimate scarcity, right? So people get all like, oh, are people going to view me a certain way? Excuse me. You don't need to worry about that, because most of that is probably fear in our imagination that won't actually materialize. Some people may unsubscribe from your list. Sure. I have people that unsubscribe from my list when I don't sell them things. What are we doing? We're sifting through to find the people who are going to stick with us, and that's who we want in our list anyway. So if people come into your list, God forbid you tell them your story or you pitch them something and they go, and then they leave, no sweat. That's just, it is what it is. So hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit more confident about selling things and have a little bit more of a systemized mindset and understand why people actually buy. They buy from emotions, right? This is a direct response principle, by the way. We need to build relationships before selling. So we need to build that rapport ahead of time, give them value ahead of time. Or if you're a music business service, like an educator or producer, give them value up front, show them you can help them by actually helping them. That fancy old trick, as Frank Kern once said. Then we need to figure out how to give people a reason to buy right now. Usually what we do when we're doing live offers is like, hey, this offer is only available until we until we shut down, until I shut up, really, no, until we shut down the merch table. Once the merch table starts shutting down and we take everything down, the offer's no good, right? So you have to do it before we leave. That's natural scarcity. We have to get to the next venue, or we have to go home. My kid's crying. I need to get home. It's late. It's 2 a.m. Why is he up? No, anyway, but we have to look at it from giving people a reason to buy right now and being okay with being a little nudgy as opposed to being pushy, right? And then lastly, understand that sales, when it comes to sales as a musician, don't wait, create, okay? If you sit around and wait for sales, you will get sales much in that fashion. You'll be waiting and one will come in and you're like, yeah, I made $14, heck yeah. And then 3 months will go by, waiting. Where if you go out and you try to create sales, now you have a higher likelihood of actually getting something done because you're actually trying to make it happen. You're not just waiting for things to happen on their own. You're providing a way to build the relationship with your fans that they actually like, yeah, I understand where they came from. I know their story. Oh, here's a way to support them. Cool. Oh, what if I don't want to buy it right now? Oh, I have to buy it right now because there's only 20 of them, or this is going away in 7 days. Oh, I make sure I better buy it. Or better yet, it's going away in 3 days. Oh, I better go ahead and buy it now, right? And so when you do that, you're actually setting up an environment to create sales, okay? So understand that the term direct response marketing is really just a true core principle of all of this stuff. And so I've got interviews coming up with some people that are going to be sharing some direct response wisdom. It's going to be so cool. I'm so excited to share these things with you guys. So make sure to subscribe to make sure that you get the notified when these interviews go up. Make sure to like, comment, all that good YouTube-y stuff. And if you would like some one-on-one help implementing direct response systems in your music business, then hit the link that's in the description to apply for a coaching call. We can see if it's a good fit to work together to help you figure out how to implement this in your business. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.